Hello, once again, everyone. Welcome to the Passionate Professional series. My name is Tunde Kukoyi, and I'm the host of today's show. And this is the Passion and Purpose of. It's a channel where we share useful knowledge to help you maximize not just your success, but also fulfillment in your personal and professional lives. We always have this live stream at the last Sunday of the month, same time, 6 p.m. I know there's been a change of time recently. It's been changed from GMT, where I live, to daylight saving time or British summertime, which just means that time has moved forward by 1 hour. So there's been a bit of mix up with the time on the settings, but it's the same time, 6 p.m. every evening. That's when we meet just to gear us up for the week, gear us up for the month as professionals, whatever field of life that we work in. And the Passionate Professionals series is now in its fifth episode. Yay! Thank you for everyone that has been listening and watching live. We've had a couple of guests, and our guest for today should have been Dr. Christine Willan, but unfortunately, she called me late last night to say that she's not very well. So we thought, well, should we cancel today's show? Should we just cross it off and just say we'll do it some other time? But I just felt, no, why not? I mean, there's always an opportunity. There's always an opportunity in every difficulty. Why not just still come online, get this recording done? If someone comes online and watches it, great, and we'll still be able to add value. And I was lucky enough to get a friend of mine to volunteer to come up on the show as well. So we won't stop adding value. That's what we do. We always add value. So thank you to anyone that is watching today's show as well. So just before we go in, I mean, I always have a bit of reflection that I share before we start. And the reflection this time around is, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling? How are you feeling before tomorrow, which is Monday? What are your thoughts? What's on your mind? There was a time that there was a research done, and it showed that the highest number of people that had heart attacks, they had it on Monday morning in the United States. And a lot of medical professionals were kind of wondering, like, why is this? And they postulated that, oh yeah, maybe because of the habits over the weekend, people go out drinking, they don't do exercise and all of that. But I think they also noted that one of the most common, or the most likely things, is the high stress level. So why are people so stressed out on Monday mornings when they have to go to work? Why is it? Is it just the mere fact that they have to go to work, or is it just that burden or that worry that, why am I going? Why am I doing this? Um, why am I doing this thing that I do not love? And again, that's what the Passionate Professional series is all about. It's just about getting us to find out what our passions are and to bring our passions to life, because that is how we can make a difference. Now, they say that the highest number of heart attacks don't happen on Monday anymore. That's probably because people's work patterns have changed, and now they've done a bit more studies. But I think the question still remains begging. Why is it that people, when it comes to having to work, why is it that people just feel deflated? Why is it that they don't feel happy? And I think that's something that we need to address. We need to reach out and find out what we're passionate about. If you're doing what you're passionate about, then it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you are doing what you're called to do. So that's my reflection for today. And I think it's something we need to think about. What am I passionate about? And would I do what I'm doing if I'm not going to get paid to do it? That's something I want everyone to think about. So let's move on to our guest for today. Our guest for today is Raouda Sakour. She's a friend of mine. I've worked with her before, and she's an IT expert. And she's not just an IT expert; she's also someone that loves to give back. She's a humanitarian. She has set up a charity that helps to educate young children, and she's also passionate about leadership and personal development. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me today as I welcome to the studio my guest for today, Raouda Sakour. Hello,
Hi,
Raouda.
Tunde. Hi, how are you doing? Thank
I'm
you for
very
this
well, thank you.
introduction.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's good to have you here. It's good to have you here, and thank you so much for picking up my request. That, I mean, it's less than 24 hours, and you're like, sure, why not? And I think that's a great value. I mean, when you can when you can just say, you know what, I'm here to support my friend. I'll do this without preparation and things like that. I mean, I really really appreciate it. Not anyone can do that. So, from my heart, I'm saying a big thank you to you, Rauda.
you are welcome, Tunde. Actually, I think you always play the role of introducing your guests, but nobody is working. I mean, nobody is introducing you really well. I want to take this opportunity now from you. Yeah. So I really
Okay.
love what you do, Tundi, and I love your passion and you're the way you put this, at the passion purpose channel and the way you approach life. I really love that. I love your commitment and your determination to grow in your leadership and to do something different while you are busy in your schedule and in your life and in your passion and in your professional. So I really appreciate that, and I appreciate also to take this opportunity that you try to do something different where people are really busy, as you mentioned that people are busy in life and they get a lot of pressure to do what they have to do for living, right? So I love this
Yeah.
reflection to start with. Really interesting. I mean, it's my interesting point as well. So thank you for having me here, and I'm happy here to, if at all I could add value. As I said, I'm very simple and humble, so I hope my experience will help
Yeah.
somebody or will interest somebody to hear and to listen to. Thank you
Yeah,
for
thank
having
you.
me
I
here.
mean, that's one thing I really love about you. Just like you said, you're simple and humble. Like you, I mean, I've met you and you come down to earth. I mean, to anybody's level, and you're always willing to help, and that's a very great trait. I really appreciate that, Raouda. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
And
Talisa.
I think it's also a honor to have you on Mother's Day. So I know you've got some kids as well. So I think I'll take this
Thank
opportunity
you.
to say thank you to you and all the mothers out there that you're doing great work. I mean, we won't be here if not for you all. We might not appreciate you enough, but yeah, from our hearts, we're saying thank you to you. Thank you so
Oh,
much,
it's
Raouda.
actually it's an honor really to be a mother, and it's a privilege as well. And I wish every mother a happy Mother's Day. In fact, I think every mother is every woman is a mother by nature. We love to care and share and help and nurture our people around us. So I congratulate every mother on this special day. So it's a very special day for me as well. I have three teenagers. They forget about my birthday, but my Mother's Day, but I'm honored to be their mother. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes I think the thing with Mother's Day is sometimes people get a bit confused because we have probably about four Mother's Day in the year, and people are like, which day is really Mother's Day? But I think every day is Mother's Day. I mean, we can't appreciate you enough for everything you do. So I know there's a day that people say, oh, this is Mother's Day, but I don't think Mother should be celebrated on only one day. I think she should be celebrated every day for what you do, which is truly remarkable. So
Indeed.
thank you
Thank
once
you.
again.
Thank you.
So I think like I said, I mean, this is not a scripted. It's not a scripted interview, so it's just us talking, having a chat, adding value to each other. And if anyone is also on the live stream, also adding value to others as well. So, I mean, for a bit of context, are you able to just tell us a bit more about yourself, rather?
Sure. My pleasure. So Cindy, we are all have like different, what you call different uh, uh, identities as a human, as a mother, as a wife, or as a professional. But I think the first and the most important identity is to be a human and to care about the human around you and to care about what you do for the humanity.
Yeah.
So, as a professional, I'm an IT consultant, as you mentioned earlier. I have been working in the IT industry in the last almost. I mean, I have been working for in the last 24 years, but in the IT industry almost for 22 years. And I've been working. I had the privilege to work with good big companies like Cognizant, Capgemini, Oracle, and currently with Accenture. I'm very fortunate to work with many high level professionals. I grown up in my career, really, I went really so long there, and as a human, I am a mother of three teenagers. I am absolutely a wife to my first boyfriend, so have been living together for a long time. The other side is, I think, when you mentioned about the first reflection on the start, that the main important thing is not about seeing my job as a job. I really see it as a purpose. I really see it as a passion. I love my job. I love to work with partners, with customers, solve problems, add values, and make a difference. So I think this is one of my best identification. I'm really a professional, passionate about what I do, and I
Yeah.
do something aside as a human as well. If this makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah, definitely makes sense. I mean, I love the way you started that introduction because many times when you ask people or tell us about yourself, what they want to do is tell you their title. Oh, I'm a doctor. I'm an engineer. I have this. I mean, if you go on LinkedIn, for example, you see how people put like two lines of titles after their names. And I'd love how you said it at first we're human beings, and I think that really boils down to the fact that we need to actually know who we are. That talks about the place of self-discovery. I think I did a post as well that was saying that who are you? When people ask you that question, who are you? People say, oh, I'm this, I'm that, that. But when you really want to know who you are, you have to check what your values are, what your purpose is. I think that's where you, because we are first human before you go into talking about jobs. And that's what happens when people are, for some reason, are stripped of their roles, of their jobs. For example, they lose the job, then they start asking themselves, who am I? But yeah, I like the way you started saying that first you're human, your wife, your mother, you love giving back. And I think we need to start thinking about that, because if more people thought of who they were first before they look about think about their professional roles, I think it will make a difference in the world. So thank you so much for the way you started that introduction. It shows a lot that you are someone who actually reflects and thinks about how you can add value to the world. So
Thanks.
the next question I'm going to be asking you, Rauda, is, I know you're passionate about a lot of things, and as much as you can share, just tell us some of the things that you're passionate about, things that will wake you up in the middle of the night and say, I need to do this. I mean, because passion is something that is like fuel to just keep burning. And on one of the our previous episodes, one of the guests said that passion is like the battery in whatever device you have. If there's no passion, then you can't function. You just. I think he used the example of an electric toothbrush, and it was like, imagine the electric toothbrush and you're just using your hand and you're just doing this. But if there's passion in it, it's like the battery and it just keeps. So tell us those things that would fire you up in the middle of the night, or it would keep you going. Like you don't even know that it's 2 a.m. in the morning and you're working on it. Tell us some of those things that you're passionate about.
Absolutely. Thank you for this question. Actually, it's really very close to my heart. So when we ask about purpose or passion, some people they really mix it between, okay, I'm passionate about, for example, football, or I'm passionate about playing something, or I'm passionate about maybe painting or singing. Well, nothing is wrong with this, basically. But as far as you know what your passion is, right? But for me,
Yeah.
I think I've discovered during my many years of experiences and maybe challenges, if I may put it that way. I think what keeps me up at night, or what wakes me up really, or like keep me in fire, is, if I may put it that way, um, it's to help somebody, well, it's not a help, actually, to support somebody to get educated. So for
Mm,
me, education is really my passion. To help people get education, this is really my I would say, I think I born for that. This is really my life calling. What does that mean? I have seen many challenges in this world, in my career, journey, and my life journey, and my, as a human, again, watching what's happening in the world. I believe education is the key, and as Nelson Mandela said, is the most important weapon and powerful weapon to change the world is really education. This is really one
mm,
of those great weapons. And of late, when the coronavirus, challenges hit the world, I believe medical education is very important. I'm really very passionate about it, and as well IT. So I think knowing the technology, knowing the medical stuff, I think for me, I believe this is the most important thing I could do. Now, again, one person can change the world. This is a big question for me. I think yes, because if you can help someone, or like teach someone to if you can change somebody's lives for better, I think
mhm,
you made this world a better place. So this is really my passion, Tundi.
mm. Yeah. So I mean, I love the analogy, or the statement from Nelson Mandela, where he was saying that education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. And to bring this into context in today's age, I know we know what's going on between Russia and Ukraine, and people are talking about, oh, there's possible chemical weapons, nuclear weapons. But I just thought about it just when you said it. That I mean, well, how come we're not thinking of it this way? How come we're not thinking of educating people? But we're thinking of how we can amass like nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, so we can say we are the strongest country in the world. How about going out and educating people out there? I mean, picking children from the streets and making them better, like teaching them what they need to learn. It just struck my mind. It's not something that ever crossed my mind. I never thought of education as a weapon. I know that you have worked with an organization called Education for Brighter Futures. I mean, do you have any stories you want to share from that? How someone's life changed from that process of educating someone?
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure. So, just back to your point, actually, it's not about only educating people about weapons, or about educating people like when it comes to war or what's happening, or even nuclear education. Actually, educating people also, not only on IT and medical, actually educating people about the human values. That's the
Mm,
most important, if I may put it that way, because I
yeah.
believe there is, as you rightly said, if you get somebody from the street and you get them, maybe help them to learn something to do for living, they can make it their living. But if you
Yeah.
educate them in human values and
Mm,
who they are, if you show them to, if you help them to know who they are, and what, as a human again, and what human values they can carry out, I think this is really a great change. I mean, this is the best thing we could do for any human. Now, back to your point, believing in education, I have actually worked with people where they are disabled or like underprivileged. Let's say, for example, someone who got, injured when he was 27 years old and disabled, he can't really do anything.
mm,
And by just supporting him to just giving him money to educate him how to do, like, fixing mobiles or fixing, small stuff, now he has a small business. He can really just feed his family and he can survive. So instead of giving somebody a one fish, to have for
yeah.
dinner, you can just teach them how to fish, and then they can just, give them actually an advantage, or like a, a habit, or a profession for life. So that's the main idea. How I can do this, I mean, how I really practically do that. I sponsor actually education. I sponsor the education fees for medical students and for
Wow.
IT students. Yes. So I have actually this passion since really a long time. Although it's one man show, I mean, it's really my own, but still I believe, if everyone can teach one, I think we are all fine. I think we can really create a change. Again, when we think about the war, maybe we don't have a say there. We don't have a decision. We don't have the power of to stop the war, or to, to do anything there.
Yeah.
But I believe when we create this movement of educating the people who are underprivileged, or having at least awaken the human values, I believe we can create a movement against any future wars.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always, as always, I'm always striving to listen and write notes at the same time, but you never know when gold will just drop. And just like you said that you said that you might think that one person cannot change the world, which is true, but actually one person can change one another person's world. I think I read a story about how someone was thinking about can't change the world, can't change the world, but eventually she was trying to get a child, but then she went to Africa and then adopted a child, and I mean she realized that although she could not change the world, but that child that she adopted, she changed that child's world, and that's just the same thing you're trying to say. Like you might not be able to make everything good again with the flick of your fingers, but you can actually change someone's, whether it's someone who's disabled that you empower to learn how to fix mobile phones. You might not have changed the world but you might have changed that person's world, and I think that is something really important. Another thing I got that was important from what you just talked about was the place of values, and I think it is really important today because a lot of the things that we see today is because we don't teach values anymore, and unfortunately that's the truth. I mean, and just like you said, you can teach someone how to build IT networks, do this, do that, but if the values are missing, then it just seems like there is a shaky foundation. And all the things we see in today's world, conflicts here and there, people going into things like gun crimes, and all the vices we see today, I think it all boils down to the loss of values. I mean, many years ago, the family system used to be the system where you sit around the table and then people teach you values that you don't do this, you don't do this, you forgive people when they do this. But where have the values gone today? But I'm glad that there are people out there teaching values, and I know that you do something like that. So can you tell us a bit more about how you teach values? I know it's to change your world.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I want to acknowledge you as well, Tondi. So what you are doing also is changing the world. When you highlight this, the passionate purpose, and when you talk about it, I think this is, in some way or form or shape, you are doing something outstanding, and I really want to acknowledge you for that. Back to your question. Last year on January, I guess, Dr. John Maxwell launched his book, which is basically Change Your World, if you
Hmm.
remember. And when I heard about the introduction of the book, and when he was doing the book tour, he was talking about he's creating a movement. In fact, he when I got the book, it's not only a book; it's a platform. They created the platform where they talk about the human values. So the concept is to have people, like, small groups, like around the table, like maybe as a family, as you mentioned, probably, but having a small group like 6 7 people or maybe 10 people around the table for 6 weeks, talking about the human values, starting with hope, integrity, forgiveness, for example. Like, how much do we need to highlight those values? I mean, I can't express how important to highlight those values. So, in fact, that was one of the reasons I joined John Maxwell, leadership certification, and I started to facilitate those tables. First, I participated on those tables, like, with people, and have seen how people are really changing in front of my eyes, and I thought, wow, that's if you can have 8 people on one table, or like 10 people, and talk about those values for 6 weeks, and each one of these people go and facilitate another table with another 8 people. I mean, can you see how the change is growing and how we can really make the impact? And I started to see, and actually one of the people who are participating in the table, she's actually a coach, and she's been doing this for a long time. And suddenly in one of the tables, she was like shocked, like, oh gosh, am I doing this really? I mean, how can I do this? And then she sent me a message, really a testimony message, after, the weekend, actually the day after the table. And she was like, oh my goodness, Rhoda, you changed my life, my perspective, when I thought about what I did with my friend. And then I was like, this is not the human values which is I live for. And seriously, when she sent me the message, I was crying. I mean, it's not about emotion, it's about really how you could awaken, the values in the human person. I mean, in our humanity, just awaken it. It's there, because I believe each one of us, we really born with those values. Well, regardless whatever our backgrounds, or our, culture background, or like, authenticity or color, whatever, but we born with those qualities, right? But we, because of what's happening in the world, and because of many, other, cultural challenges, we either we forgot about those values, or we adopted new values, right? But when we really pause and think about, when I see people around the table talking about, okay, forgiveness, you may see it anywhere. This word is not doesn't mean much, but when you think about, okay, whom you need to forgive. Who is the person who most, bother you most in the last 3 months? Is there somebody who from your family you never speak to them for 1 year? And I started to see people, literally, some people tears in their eyes, some people are confused, some people are like, wow, I didn't ever ask myself those questions. And then they started to think, oh, I think I can do this. And then, send message to somebody to forgive, or like release this. And when I read about forgiveness, it was strange. Forgiveness is like to actually release somebody from prison, and to discover this person is you. It's like, wow, that's really revolution. Like, wow. So back to the point, Tandy, when you talk about human values, I feel like this is the most needed education in this current world. The world where the families are divided, and everybody is on their phone, their smartphones, and everybody is like busy making money or growing whatever, and securing somebody to grow, and doing this and doing that, and I can make more money if I cheat somebody, or like, so I think when we pause and talk about human values, some people may not take it very serious, but for me, I believe it's worth it to really, for me, it's worth it to spend my entire life doing it whenever I could, actually.
Thank you so much. I mean, yeah, I love that statement that you made about forgiveness, which is, I believe, is one of your values. And you said that forgiveness is when you think that the other person is drinking poison and you only discover that that person is you. Yeah, so I mean, many people feel that if they don't forgive someone, they're actually harming the person they don't forgive, or not knowing that they're actually harming themselves. I remember I read the story of Nelson Mandela, and you probably know his story, which you documented very well in his book, in Long Walk to Freedom, how he was in prison for several years. When
Mm,
his mother died, they didn't let him out. And when he became the president of South Africa, and during his inauguration, the people he put on the front row seats were the people that were his oppressors when he was in jail. He put them on the front row seats. And then people asked him that, how would you do this? How would you put these people that have oppressed you all your life on the front row? And it was like, if I don't do this, I realized that I would never be free. And it's just kind of like what you have said. That I mean, maybe we'll feel like, yeah, I'm going to punish them. I'm going to do this. But he realized that if he did not really demonstrate that forgiveness, even though he was out of jail physically, in his mind, he will still be in jail. So I really love that you highlighted that at the moment. You want to tell us about some of your values, some of the things that you value? Just share with us.
Well, I think this is one of the maybe the questions: what you want to be remembered for, what do you think you're.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I mean, integrity is really one of my really important values. To live with integrity, to work with integrity, to love with integrity, to to carry this integrity, human integrity, wherever I go and in all what I do. And I think it's very important value. Well, definitely forgiveness is as well. It's really important. But I believe when, I mean, the golden rules, right? I mean, love one another. Do to your neighbor what you want me to do to you. I think this is all values which is we all know. Well, it sounds very basic, Tanti, but to practice it and to live those values, it's not always easy, right?
I agree.
So I've been in a places in my life. Maybe some people they will say, like for example, well, I'm a person of value, and if even if I get a chance to steal a bank, I won't do it. But is it really true? Did you test that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a person of integrity. I don't cheat. Like for example, in my partner, right? I don't really cheat in my workplace, or I don't really. But did you test that? So I think that the attendee is very important to really know our values on the test, if this makes sense. Actually, maybe I can't share everything, in this platform, because it's a at first we did not prepare for it anyway, but I think it's not really good enough to share everything. I just stick to the question and try to make it short, but I believe I have been tested in my 25 years journey, in my workplace, in my life, in my personal life, in my professional life, in my relationship. I've been tested in all meanings. I mean, I have really been passed a very hard test, to really understand and know this is really my values, and I would want to live with those values. So I think this is what I believe. When we have this clarity, what our values are, I think it will be good to just keep it to ourselves, but demonstrate this in everyday life, so people can see our talk more than listen. Sorry, can see our walk more than listen to our talk.
Wow. I love that. People can actually see our work rather than just listen to our talk. Yeah, I can't remember who said this, but it says what you do speaks so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying. And yeah, I think in today's world where we are all like social media crazy, we are actually very, very, very concerned about our reputations. And I mean, it's good to be concerned about your reputation, and but your reputation is what people see about you. But I think more important than your reputation, which is what you've said, because you said integrity is one of your values, is what's your character, and that is who are you when no one's there. You like you said, people say, "I'll never steal from the bank. I'll never cheat." But if no one was there, if no one would ever find out, would you do that? And I think that boils down to your character, and it's very good that you talked about that, because we need to actually, behind all of the glossy thing that we put out there, the best versions of ourselves, and we need to dig down inside and ask ourselves that, who am I really? Who am I? And I love the way you said it, that you'll be tested on different points, whether it's in personal life, your professional life, your relationships. But that is why it's crucial that you know what your values are. And your values, actually, you choose them, or you reflect deeply and you know what your values are. And when those times of testing, when those times to make decisions come, your values will be what would be tested. Like, okay, are you really do you really have integrity? It's not at that point when you are in the bank, when the money is in front of you, that you choose whether integrity is your value. You have to have decided long before that integrity is your value, because if the money is
Absolutely.
right in front of you, that's the wrong time for you to say, oh, is integrity my value or not, because you probably falter if
Yeah,
you've not had that.
absolutely. And you know, Tindy, I'm not a social media fan. I'm not
Mm.
crazy about social media, which is, I don't know if it's one of my values, because, for example, I've seen many of my friends, which is like, they're very active on Facebook, and they're very active in LinkedIn. I mean, it's not wrong, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not that much. Oh, I'm very social person, by the way, but I'm not a social
Mhm.
media crazy. And one of my friends, he was like, "You don't even put photos in Facebook. You don't really share things like, look, if I miss you, I'll call you. I will check on you. I will, but I'm not here to put my social media, my personal life on social media and say like, yeah, this is me. Da, 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 da. I mean, I was like, I'm not a social media guy. I'm a social guy, but I'm not a social media guy. So maybe this is one of my values, probably, because I really, this is really, I mean, what you see is what you get. This is really me.
Mm.
So, I mean, who knows me? I mean, since 25 years or maybe 20, 22 years or 10, 20 years, I think this is what they know. I mean, they know this is me. This is Rauda. So I'm not very crazy about social media and putting stuff in social media. I don't know if this is one value or it's like something I'm short of. I don't know. But so I just want to highlight it. So I'm not a social media crazy
No.
at all.
I mean, I love that statement that you said. This is me. What you see is what you get, and that you might not know, but that says a lot. There's some people that what you see is not what you get. If you get what I mean, what you see on the external is different from what is on the inside, internal surface or on the inside. And I think for many people, that also is one of the reasons why we have, I think, a lot of, I might say, mental health issues today, because a lot of people try to be someone on the outside that they are not on the inside. They don't focus on who they are on the inside. But yeah, I think it's a very good conversation that we've had so far. I can see that there's 4 people watching online as well. Just, I mean, we're doing this because of you, because I thought people will still want to join in. I don't see why we can cancel when we can actually add value. So feel free to ask your questions, put your comments. This is us just adding value to ourselves on a Sunday before a work week. So feel free to post your comments, and I'll be sure to put them on the screen as well. So, Rod, I'm going to ask you one of probably my most difficult questions, and that is, tell us a challenging or difficult time, about a challenging or difficult time in your life, and how did you handle it? I mean, because we learn from other people's stories and inspiration. So tell us a time that you found really challenging or difficult in your life, and tell us about how you handled it.
Mm, challenges. Wow. There are many, definitely. But I think so challenges sometimes come with I believe challenges always shape our character and help us to maybe know ourselves more. And definitely, it's not about the challenge itself, it's about how to respond to the challenge, probably. This is really will reflect who you are, right? So, in fact, when I had my family crisis, when I lost my half of my family in Syria during the Syrian war, including my relatives, friends, and my mother, that was so hard to digest and to comprehend. And again, thinking of the war, it's the worst thing you know you could have in your country or even anywhere. In fact, I can see even Ukrainian war really. I can't see it in watching TV because it brings back memories to me. But when I think about it, in fact, Tandy, it's not it's not about again about a person. It's about human lives. It's about human values. It's about how all these people they are losing their lives for nothing and for not a valid reason, if I may put it that way. Now the challenge here, how you overcome this crisis and how you forgive the people who did that. I think this is the most difficult challenge anyone would ever have or face. So my first response was, as any person, like angry, sad, helpless, and really feeling like what I'm living for. I mean, I can't do anything. I can't change anything. I mean, it's been like it's like for almost 7 or 8 months, I was literally confused and I don't know what to do. But what this challenge taught me is not about me. Again, it's about we. It's not about thinking about myself or like what this happened, why this happened to me. It's about what I can learn from this and what I can do with this actually. And in fact, my response after all of the challenge to start this education and just do something to help others overcome their own challenges. So for me, the challenge, the most challenging challenge I had is to forgive these people and to do something positive. I mean, to just to change my pain and make it actually a purpose and try to overcome those challenges by helping others to overcome their challenges. Yeah, just pause here.
Well, I know that's something really close to your heart that you uh, probably didn't want to talk about, but thank you for sharing that because I mean, it's something that, just like you said, it was really challenging and a tough time for you. But I love the spin that you put on it and the way you started by saying that we will all have challenges, and that's true because I mean, if you're living a life and you don't have challenges, then it probably means that you're not going anywhere. If you're going somewhere and you're going somewhere meaningful, a true sign of that is that there will be challenges along the way. So if you're living a life and you're not having challenges, uh, and everything is just a smooth ride, then there might be something wrong somewhere. I love how you started with that. But again, you also said that it's not really the challenges, but how we respond to the challenges that reflects who we are. I mean, that's like three statements in one, but I love the way it ended. It's not the challenges, but how we respond to the challenges that reflects who we are. So we can actually tell who we are by how we respond to challenges, how we who we are in the face of adversity, if I can put it that way. Not when everything is rosy, because when everything is rosy, then you don't really know who you are. But when you are tested, when things are tough, that's when you really know who you are. So that's something else that I learned from what you said. But I think the most important thing that I learned from what you said just now is taking that step back and obviously your initial response to any difficult or painful experience is only natural. You have things like anger, denial, why did this happen to me, why me of all
Human,
people.
we're human, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing that'll come to you. But I love that when you say that you take a step back and then when you stop thinking about me me and then you start thinking about we, and I think that's how most people that always turn adversity into an advantage, that is what happens. They take that step back and say, okay, fine, yes, this has happened to me or this is happening to me, but let me look on the bigger picture. And I love how you're able to breath that initiative to educate people even when people are thinking, oh, why is this happening to me, but you thought about it like, okay, how about all these other people on the streets? What if I can change their lives? And I think that's really key in turning adversity to advantage. When we stop thinking about ourselves and we start saying, "Oh, why is it? Why me?" and we start thinking about others. I think that's what I would take home from what you said. That's the way we can actually learn from challenges. Stop thinking all about ourselves and start thinking about others. And that then we see that light, we see that leeway that, oh, you know what, I can actually turn this around. You know, some for example, you have people that have had problems with sexual abuse and they just start saying, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? I mean, it's not a nice thing to happen to anyone, but there are people who step back and say, oh, but wait, if this happened to me, I don't want it to happen to anyone else. And then they
Mhm.
start thinking about other people and prevent it, look for ways to prevent this from happening to other people. So I think that's a good perspective on life. Stop thinking only about me and start thinking about we. And that's the way you can turn adversity into advantage. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Rauda. So I think I would not go too deep again and come back to the surface and just tell us about some of your most productive habits, like some things that you do that you know that they are good habits that you want to share and you want other people to inculcate.
Well, I have a good habit of cooking. I love to cook. I love to cook. Yeah, I love to cook. I love reading. Definitely, I read a lot, and I exercise as well. I do meditation as well. Maybe the new habits I learned of late is cycling, which is really interesting, very interesting physically. But the other one, which is I really loved it and I enjoy learning almost every week, which is playing it actually every week, is a leadership game. So yeah, I learned this from John Maxwell, but I found out it's amazing game where even you can play it with your children, with your friends, and you know what? Every time it's a new perspective, and you listen to the questions and you answer it in different ways. So I love to do this. I love to facilitate and play actually leadership game. So this is one of really my hobbies. I play badminton as well. So if the sun is up, you will just see me around playing
Wow,
badminton.
I think that's your secret. That's how you stay young.
Oh yeah.
And it's proven science. I mean, people that do things like play games that stimulates them, they do exercise regularly, play sports. I mean, they don't age as fast as people that don't do that. So I think it's really interesting. I mean, there's a lot of research that shows that people that are always learning something new,
Hmm.
they are less likely to develop things like dementia and Alzheimer's. But I think the problem with our society is, and that's something that probably is a topic for another day, is we're always looking forward to that retirement age. Oh, I just want to hit 65, retire, and not do anything else. But the downside is we're seeing a lot of people that, because they don't have anything they're aiming for anymore in life, then it just seems like everything starts going down, and that includes their memory, because you don't even need the memory for anything. You're not doing anything with this anyway. So I mean, it's actually proven science that I mean, it's a culture like, oh, I'll just get to 60. I'm just going to sit down, cross my legs. But the question is, do you really want to retire? I mean, we're not really
No, I don't. I
designed to
don't. I have
retire.
no plan. I have no plan. No, no, no.
Yeah,
I have no
we're
plan.
not
So
really
I'm going.
designed for that.
My plan is to go to till 105 years, so I can fulfill all my projects and all my goals. So yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
really.
I mean, I
I have
totally
no
agree with
retirement
you.
plan.
I totally agree with you, because I mean, people just think, oh, now I'm old, but I mean, I read a book and it was like, actually, that's the finest hour of your life. I mean, society has made it that, oh, we only want to employ people that are 25 and everything, but it was like people are missing it. Like employing someone who's like 65, you're employing someone that has all the experience, but because of the way society is, you work from 25 to 65 or 18 to 65, and then you retire. But that's again, like I said, another topic for another day. But most of us, we life ends for many people at 65. Like, okay, I don't have anything to gun for anymore. People just sit down like, oh, I'll leave it to you young people. But that's not how it's designed to be. I believe that we all have something that we can keep pushing for till we to actually say, okay, you know what, this is when I leave this world. There was a story about a guy that plays the cello. His name is I think Pablo Casal, and he was 90 something, and someone saw him still practicing, and they were like, "Why are you still practicing at 90 something? You become the best in the world." And he's like, "Well, I'm doing this because maybe I think I'm making progress." So, so imagine someone that at 90 thinking he's making progress. He's been at the top of the world at his game, and there's a lot of science out there that people that keep improving themselves, they don't really get old. A lot of all the famous people that we know, Newton, Michelangelo, in their 80s, their 90s, they were still working. But I think society has kind of deceived us that when you get to 65, just cross your legs. You don't have to do anything, play golf, just, but I don't think that's the best approach to
Yeah, but
life.
Tunji, as I'm not sure if this is true, but I
Yeah.
believe I heard that the Japanese they are treating the death as a disease, and they're trying
Mm,
to find a solution so you don't die,
hmm.
you don't actually age. So
Yeah.
you never know. Maybe we will live to another two,
It,
three
it
hundred years.
probably is true, because I mean, I read a story of an island in Japan. The name is Ogimi, and they call that place the village of longevity, because people lived above 100 years there, and they
Mhm.
have like something in the city center, and they're like, um, tell when heaven calls for you at 90, tell heaven to go away because I'm still busy, something like that. And let's grow old in our old age so that we don't have need for our children. I mean, it's there in the town center. People, you see people at 90, they are still going to farms, 100, they're still going to farm, dancing in the community, because they believe that, I mean, they can keep going. But when people think, oh no, at 65, I'm going to stop, and that's where that fast decline starts setting in their bodies, in their health, in their minds. But these people, you see them, they're still farming, they're still dancing, they're still doing exercise, they're still sleeping as when you. So it's really interesting. Yeah, I agree
Mhm.
with you. All right. So imagine we're nearly 1 hour ahead. I mean, we're
Wow.
nearly 1 hour into the interview. That's how time flies. And
Mm.
yeah, I always say that when you're doing things that when you're spending time with people that inspire you, you don't know how time just fly. So
Yes.
tell me about some of your mentors or people that have inspired you in your life, and share with us if you can.
Inspire me. Well, of late I'm meeting really very, very interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, well, I met a lady via Zoom call in South Africa. She's from Mauritius, and
Yeah.
she's 81 years old. And she's full of life, full of passion. She actually does like healing for like people, which is well, I don't know about healing because I believe it's a medical thing, but for her
Yeah.
it's her passion. She's been doing for years, for ages. I mean, two, three, 4 decades, and she said something very, very interesting. She said, so I said, "What's your like 81 birthday wish?"
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I mean, her husband passed away like 5 years ago, and she said, "I'm looking for a partner." It's like, wow, she's she's so full of life that she believes, like, she still can have a partner and live, with a partner. It's like, wow, like, oh, I mean, maybe get married or something, like, wow. And she's full of life, really, and she does things like, like every day. And I mean, like, getting yeah, like meditation and prayers, and like having small groups, and like, wow, this lady really inspires me. Other people, I think, I'm really passionate about, as I mentioned, like Nelson Mandela, philosophy. Definitely, Dr. John Maxwell played a great role in my life since I started to, this I mean, engagement with his organization. And I think maybe when I started to talk about the human values and talk about change your world, in fact, somehow, Tandy, when we grown up, somehow, we go back to visit our childhood somehow, right? In fact, when I was talking about the values with one of the tables, I remembered like my father. Can you imagine? I was like, I think 9 years old when I heard him telling one of our neighbors in the other room, like, no, I will not do this. And I want my children to remember me as a person of integrity. And he was
Mm-hmm.
actually offer him good amount of money to do something which is illegal in his job, in his work.
Yeah.
And I remembered, like, it was so hard, if every all the time, to keep your values. And those challenges always there, right? And there's always tests to your values. But
Mm-hmm.
really, when you grown up and when you remember the values you learned when you were a child, I think this awakening something in you, and this will keep the light, and it'll keep you really on the right way and thinking the right thing. I think this is one of the most aspiration I had when I started this, value tables,
Yeah.
because it's awaken. I mean, it's not something new. I mean, it's really human values, but somehow I didn't see it. I didn't know how people were challenged to keep those values even in the early age, right? And now I can remember exactly that word. I never forget this word. Like, I want to be remembered as a person of integrity. Wow. Actually, every time I have a serious challenge, a decision in my life, I remember this
Yeah.
word and this question, and I ask myself, if I do that, do I still be the person of integrity, which is I wanted to be remembered as?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is my father was one of my really great influencer in my life. Yep.
Wow. Wow, I really like that. I mean, and the fact that he has stuck with you over these years. And yeah, I once heard someone say that, I mean, everyone will leave you, but never depart from your integrity, because your integrity would always be your best friend. And that's kind of like what your father was talking about there. Because I mean, it's easy to do what other people ask you to do, but if your integrity leaves you, I mean, when everyone leaves, then you don't have anything. But if you have that integrity, I know people that will say that, well, I might not have the whole world, but I mean, I kept my integrity, and I just like the way you just keep talking about integrity, and it's just ringing true to me at this moment in time. Thank you for sharing that. So, Rauda, how then do you achieve? I'm not going to call it work-life balance because I've already flipped in my mind. Because and that's from this show as well. From the first episode, the person I interviewed said, "Well, I don't call it work-life balance because your work should not come before your life. Your life should come before your work. Your work actually stems out of your life. So I call it how
Mm.
do you achieve life work balance. Because if you keep thinking of it as work life balance, then it means that work comes first. Then you can find time for life. But that's not. So how do you do that? I mean, with all the things you do with family, um, with your charity, with leadership, and how do you just balance everything?
Well, honestly, Tunde, it's not something I can confirm 100%. I'm always in
Yeah.
balance. Just to be very
Mm-hmm.
very honest again.
Yeah.
Sometimes, for example, in some point of time when I had two children, small children, working a full-time mother, I mean, do you think it was balanced? Not really, right? But at some point of time, you need really to lean in your, like, to your, capabilities, and also to your support system around you. So really, I had to work it out. It was not like naturally happening, right? I had to
Mm-hmm.
work it out. I had to put some stuff in my calendar where I can't skip it, just to keep, not again, as you said, it's not really right word, the balance, but at least to keep myself balanced, not a my work life balance, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes if you're burnt out or stressed too much, you can't really do what you need to do, right? If
Mm-hmm.
I'm burnt out in the office and tired and exhausted and delayed and come home with the three children, you can't be the mother they are expecting her to come, right? So I had really to work it out in a way where, I need to be intentional about what I'm doing. Intentional means, okay, fine, I know this week was very very busy week. In 3 days I could not really do what I need to do, but then I have to look back and just like plan for the next 3 days, for example. Or like, for example, if I have a project, I have really been late 3 days to come home, so I need really to compensate my children and start to really see them, like, and see what's happening in their life. So work life balance is not really that easy, but you have to be intentional, and you have to be, I would say, gentle to yourself. Because sometimes, if you're committed, like, for example, I used to be a senior director in a company where I have, managing like 100 millions of, like, dollars portfolio. So I've been always like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, well, I can't sleep well because I need to do this, and I can't even take care of myself, my personal, like, my personal stuff, because I need to run here and there. But really, if you're intentional about it, and if you start to get help, I get help. So I got help, I got a mentor, and then they said, like, you have to do this. You know what? Keep your Saturday 3 hours. This is me time. Go to the spa, do massage, do whatever you need to do, and then come back to your family. Like the whole self, your whole self, come
Mm-hmm.
back and enjoy the weekend with your family. So actually, I learned it. It was not natural to me. I struggled with it for a long time. But what I could say, be intentional and be also gentle, right? Be gentle means, like, nobody will die if this project will not happen tomorrow. I mean I know it's a crucial, deadlines are deadlines, but nobody will die. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe we need to be a little bit other mothers again, and to be gentle and think about, okay, you know what, I have also, like, my part of my heart is there with my children. I need really to spend time with them and check on them. So I think having this intentional planning, it helps a lot. At the same time, just try to see your life holistically. It's not I'm not only a professional, I'm not only a mother, I'm not only a wife, I'm not only a friend, but I'm all of them, right? And I need to sit to think and to really take it with love and care, and again, gently. So actually, I always have a session with my, like, daughter, like one-to-one alone with my son, maybe with my husband. So this really gives me, again, just recharge me and gives me energy. And you know what? Sometimes we need to spend time far from them with our friends, so we can really validate again our friendship, our humanity, and just be with them. Maybe my friend need my support, or my relatives, or like my sister-in-law, or my sister. So I think be intentional about how you spend your time. Look to your calendar, do the reflection. I think this is really a key. But 100% life balance, it's really not practical to achieve all the time. Sometimes, yes, sometimes it's really challenging.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for, I mean, saying that clearly because it's something that people don't understand. I mean, there's some people that come out there and tell you, I've got life all figured out, but it's not true. We are all on the journey in life,
Good for
and
them. Like if they can, good for them. I didn't. I didn't have it all figured out. I'm still working out.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. We're all on the journey, aren't we? But I love the way you said it. That yes, you should be intentional. You should lean into your capabilities. Understand that there's some things that you'd never be the best at, and you might just need to get help and support at things like that.
Support, yeah.
But yeah, but I think the key thing, like you said, is be gentle to yourself. Sometimes when we beat ourselves up in ways that we would not do to others, but so we're sometimes our hardest critics. But I love the way you said it. We sometimes need to be gentle to ourselves, and I also love the way you talked about, taking time out for yourself as well, going to the spa, getting a massage, sometimes getting a retreat. People don't understand sometimes, like you're always on the go, working when you're on holidays, but sometimes we need that personal retreat because that's when you actually get time to reflect, recover, and
Trust
what
me,
you want to
this
do with your
time.
life.
Trust me, this time. Actually, I lost you for seconds. Actually, this time, like me time, when I do really this, I mean, like maybe massage or maybe go to the salon, do my manicure, pedicure, whatever, my hair, whatever. Actually, it gives me really sort of a refreshment and recharge. So
Mm-hmm.
this time is really very crucial. I mean, don't think, I mean, mothers don't think like, okay, you know what, let me spend time at home and not do what I need to do because I feel guilty I didn't spend time at home. Seriously, it's very important because if you are feeling good, then you can really give this feelings, I mean, just distribute it around you, right? You can radiate actually good around. But if you are stressed out and tired and burn out, it will be difficult to actually be the person your loved one expecting you to be.
True, true. Well, Rhoda, I told you that time always runs fast. We only have 3 minutes to go. So I'm just going to ask you two quick questions. The first one is what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be known for? I mean, when you leave this world, you talked about your father, how you said, I mean, I want my children to remember that I'm a man of integrity. What would you want to be known for?
Well, maybe I want to second my father's statement, but also I want to sponsor 1 million children in my lifetime.
Wow, that's a big goal.
Everywhere in the world, everywhere in the world. I want to sponsor 1 million medical and IT students. Yep. Really, really, this is my, I would
Wow,
love to be remembered by that. Yep.
wow, that's a big goal, and I pray that you achieve that goal.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yep. It is a very big,
So
really. That's why I need to live like 105 years. So
yeah, yeah.
I'm looking for that.
Sure, sure, sure. So the last question is, I mean, we have some people watching online, also people that will be playing the replay or playing this on audio version. Is there any advice that you would give young professionals out there? Because people come to you and they're like, "Oh, I'm young. I know you've had over 20 years of experience in the IT industry, but I mean, generally in life, it's always good to look up to people that have gone ahead of us and ask, like, what advice? I mean, what would you tell a younger version of yourself now with what you know?" What would you tell a younger version of yourself? What can we pick up from you?
Well, very good question. Well, I think you have been really selecting very good questions so far. I believe the most important part for maybe young IT professionals, I believe, especially for ladies, it used to be very challenging. The IT industry used to be very challenging for female. Really, really very challenging. When I started my career, it was very, very challenging. In fact, I used to be the only one girl in the room wherever I go. In any meeting, in any conference, in any, it was very, very challenging. But what I could say to any in their 20, I mean the youth in their 20s, don't get stuck with the social media. Don't start to don't look to have different, different two identities. Just be yourself and be good in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be successful, be good in what you do, right? Do the difficult things now to enjoy easier life later. Do the difficult things now to enjoy easier life later. I mean, if you want to get easy money, like Bitcoin or whatever, I mean, that's okay. But I mean, building a profession, being good in what you do, I believe this is the best way and the best formula. And you know what? Not only that, help somebody on the way. Do what you do good and help somebody on the way. Right, right path always, I believe always, it's not, if you want to go alone, you go, far, you go alone. If you want to go if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, go with people. For me, I believe helping someone gives us more values. And when we really, really, I mean, if you are in IT or any profession, be good in what you do the right things, learn every single day, learn something new. And you know what, help also somebody. I think this is the best thing you could, spend your time in. And social media, I don't want to say it's wrong, but less social media and more social. Do more social, like socializing with people, and do less in social media. Because I think the most important part where the young generation are really missing the reading part. They're not reading. They don't read. They don't have time. They don't like books. They don't like, even studying. They just want to go to, Instagram and Facebook and da, 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 and they really, I'm not blaming them, but I think this is not the real progress and achievement in life. It is not the best path, I would say, to success. You want to be a successful professional, do the right things now, do the difficult things now to live the life you want later. So yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Raouda,
And get somebody
wow.
who's one step ahead of you, and get coaching. Yeah.
Wow, I think this is like the golden moment where you just like kind of want to drop the mic, because I've been writing what you've been saying, and I just love the 4 points that you've just dropped at the end as we sign off now. So your advice to young professionals, women in IT and professionals outside the IT world, is be yourself and be good at what you do. Do the difficult things now if you want to enjoy your life later. I know someone that says pay now so you can play later. And you also said get a coach, get a mentor, because it's hard to improve yourself when you only have yourself to follow. And the final thing you said is always look to help someone on the way. Thank you so much for joining today's interview. I mean, it has been mind blowing to think that we just said, okay, you know what, let's do it. And the amount of value that you've put down, because it's going to be online. You never can tell. 5, 10 years from now, someone might watch this and it will inspire that person. And that's just what you said, helping someone along the way. So thank you to everyone that was joined in. I can see that 3 people are still connected online and watching. And for people that will be playing the replay of this, thank you so much. I mean, we won't be going on if there was no one watching and giving us comments and feedback. So thank you so much. And thank you so much, Raouda. Thank you for
Thank you,
adding value to
Tunde, for
us
being a
today.
great host. Appreciate your questions and appreciate the work you do. Really, I acknowledge that. All the
Thank you
very
so much.
best.
Thank you so much. So, everyone, as we always say at the end of the show, till we meet again, just make sure that you keep living with passion and with purpose. I'll see you later.
Thank you.